Signalis is probably the most intriguing game I've ever played. It's because Rose Engine, powered mainly by two people, two legends, purposely made the story of the game so open to interpretations and almost any theory can be valid. Hell, up until now, people would still discuss about theories they have about the game, and the community would almost never straight up deny those possibilities, whether eldritch beings are involved or something meta, like everything was just a dream. All of those can be true because of the factors that was set up in the story or the world of this game. They have made the game so perfectly vague to the point where it's more fun coming up with the explanation yourself rather than wanting the actual truth from the devs themselves, which they have never really provided, so huge props to them. I'm gonna tell you right from the beginning, I still have so many questions about this game, and the more I try to understand something, the more questions appear. Now that I have explained to you that there may be no wrong interpretation to the game's story, I'm Obara, and here's my unwarranted take on the story. Please note that this video is pretty much a spoiler. I highly advise you to play the game first. Getting just one ending will leave you thinking, and hell, any of the endings can be canon if you choose it to be. A nerd typing in on the command prompt tells us to wake up. Then, we're greeted by someone coming out of the closet. Coming out of what seems to be a pod. While exploring the place, we find notes and manuals scattered around. Bits of information about ourselves and the crew was given to us. We're a replica unit called the LSTR, or Elster, and we're the technician of this ship. Yes, we are in a ship called Penrose 512, as shown to us in a terminal, and we seem to be missing one person named A. Young, who is a Gestalt and not a replica like us. Apparently, our mission is to find moons or planets that are habitable or rich in resources, and that a partner system between a Gestalt and replica was the most optimal for this type of mission. Guess that's why there were only two names on that terminal. Heading to the cockpit next, we find that flight for the ship is no longer possible because of the damages. In here, we also see a photo of a woman with white hair who seemed to be our Gestalt partner. Finally, at the end of the hallway, we find another pod that is similar to where we woke up, hoping that our partner is here. We used the code pattern printed at the back of the picture that we found and opened up the chamber, only to find no one was in there, but two pieces of a keycard. A hyper-futuristic robot like us, with advanced knowledge and technology, proceeds to fix the keycard with a piece of tape that we found. We then proceeded to the airlock, where an Ava suit can be found, but we noticed that one is missing, meaning that our partner might be out there somewhere. We decide not to waste any more time and put on the suit to begin our search. Although the weather was harsh, we persevere and kept moving forward until we reach this gate-like structure or landmark in the middle of nowhere. On the other side, we find a gaping hole, so we did the most logical thing: head down. Upon reaching the bottom, why is it red and seems a little bit fleshy? I have no idea. Another hole to be conquered, but this time we crawl in it. Emerging on the other side, we find a room with books on the shelf, a computer, and a radio on the desk, and a rather striking book, The King in Yellow. Picking the book up, we're shown a cutscene, a robotic German voice dictating numbers to us like we're a sleeper agent, all while flashing different images while our face continues to degrade with every number being said. Great holes secretly are digged where earth spores ought to suffice, and things have learned to walk that ought to crawl. A line from H.P. Lovecraft's The Festival. We are about to get a little freaky here. Remember our promise. Then, the woman with white hair flashes briefly on the screen. Wake up. Waking up in the bedroom, facing the mirror. I've been here before. Upon checking our inventory again, the photo that we once had changed. The woman with white hair was replaced by someone named Alina So. I guess we're finding a different woman now. Trying to pick up every single piece of paper on site, we learned that we're currently at S23 Sierpinski, a school facility that doubles as a labor camp, and you can send rations to your loved ones while working for the great nation. It's a win-win, right? In one hallway, we find lying bodies of dead oiler units. which are replica like us as per our observation of the biocomponents bulging out of their shells. Something is going on in this facility and I'm starting to feel a bit tense now. Fortunately, we find someone alive, or at least barely, a badly hurt star unit telling us to leave. But since we're tunneling for our brown-haired partner, we don't even bother asking what happened, but we cut straight to the point, asking if she has seen the woman on the picture. The star unit didn't recognize her, but said that she might be in the mines below the facility. After unlocking one of the rooms, using a key we just picked up, we find ourselves in a rather tiny office with a single desk. Rummaging through the drawers of that desk, we finally arm ourselves with a pistol. Usually, when horror games gives us a weapon to fight with, the game gets a lot less scary. But it's not the same with this game. Although I feel a lot less defenseless, the fear of not having a clue about anything that's happening to us is still deeply ingrained in me. Going back to the previous hallway, the dead oily unit suddenly woke up and attacked us with a butcher's knife. After taking care of business and stomping on its head Dead Space style, we find another person in the room at the end of the hallway, a gestalt named Isa Ito, who warned us that the place was dangerous, but she has no idea exactly what is happening. She was armed with a knife and seemed to have finished off an oily unit inside the room. We didn't even say a word, but it seems like she knows that we were looking for someone. She then leaves us, saying that she has something to do. Okay, bitch didn't even let me speak a word. After a bit of snooping around and safe cracking, we're back at where the star unit was before, but this time, it seems like she made it out alive. Hopefully. Opening the room, we find another hole. Why is this game full of holes?
Here we go!
I feel like I'm not welcome here. Since our only clue leads us to go to the mines below, first thing we try out is the elevator. But of course, it's not that simple. We needed an ID to even use it. Currently, we're at the facility's worker accommodation, or their dorms. Exploring this floor, we find evidence that the Great Yusan Nation was a rather totalitarian one, having records of the workers being interrogated and punished for their crimes. And those interrogations can sometimes lead to the workers' so-called expiration. Also, the workers have actual names and not models, meaning they were probably gestalts. So yeah, they died during the interrogations, not just expired like a can of tuna or something. We also find clues here about what exactly is happening, ranging from diary entries to official logs. Something is definitely wrong. An oily unit getting lost, and multiple star and storage units being affected too. Not only was it affecting replicas, we also find a page from Alina's diary here. She mentions that there was a flu going around and that she hasn't seen Elster, which is supposed to be us, right? Why is she working at this facility? She even has an official ID. Why didn't I ask this before? Didn't she crash here with us? Who is the white-haired woman in the beginning? Right now I have so many questions, but finding Alina is our priority, and she might have the answer for everything. In here, we also find a locked box with a butterfly on top. Using the key that we picked up during our exploration, inside we're greeted by a mysterious artifact called the Plate of Eternity. Picking this up is regret. We're sent to another location, what seems to be like a radio station, and beside it, a menacing door with red light in front. I tried to check my inventory to see if anything changed. To my surprise, nothing did, except for the description of our newly acquired plate. I don't like that this is warm. Heading inside the structure, it kind of feels cozy. We find a letter on the table addressed to Officer Young. That was the name of our gestalt from the ship, right? Aryan Young was the name of our gestalt, and the letter we found was for Iris, Aryan's mother. So that means, where the fuck are we right now? Who the fuck is Alina? I'm not very smart, so I'm choosing to ignore everything for now. In here, we also pick up a new module which lets us have a built-in radio. Using that radio, we set our frequency to the number shown at the menacing door from before. And like voice activation, the door opens up and we're back to where we were before. Still looking for Alina and disregarding the Yongs. After finally getting a protector ID, we head back to the elevator. I tried to go directly to the 6th floor, but there was a sudden power outage which ate the ID that we just got and left us on the 3rd floor instead. Now we're at the new medical ward. In this floor, not much lore was in here, but just more records of the replica units malfunctioning somehow. For this section, we need to collect 5 keys to open a single gate. I'm gonna be 100% real with you, I was too dumb to figure out the water pump puzzle, so I looked for a guide. Listen, this is the only time I did it, okay? Shut up. While having a headache from the puzzles, we find a videotape. And when played on one of the rooms, we're then again sent to another location. We're in a train with someone who has white hair, but it's shorter this time. Looking outside, we're in an actual city full of buildings. With the blink of the light, the person sitting was suddenly gone, and what's left was a gold key. After collecting all the keys, we opened the gate. Inside was a save room full of supplies and another place to drop down to. Gee, I wonder what's down there. Could it be a boss fight? Yes it was. Mina. She was a complete unit. Look at how fucking big she is, and her gun too. With how thick her armor was, our bullets couldn't penetrate through it. Not until she started coughing. She had to open the front plate and gave us the chance to shoot her. And because we know that there was an illness spreading throughout the facility, there was an explanation for this mechanic for this fight, which is neat. Realizing and writing this now made me appreciate the game more. After the fight, another replica appears. Adler. He doesn't seem to be hostile and even offered us some help. But when we showed him the picture of Alina, I knew it was too good to be true. We're transported once again, but now we're playing as Isa, the Gestalt from before. For my own sanity, I'm just calling this a memory from Isa. In this memory, we see that Aryan was being bullied by 3 students. In the end, it was my sister and not me who came to Aryan's aid. These words flashed on the screen along with Gestalt memory at the bottom. So now, we know that Isa and Arya knew each other, and yet there's still no sign of their correlation with Alina. After the memory sequence and waking back to reality, we find ourselves at the 5th floor of the facility. A bunch of dead Elster units had broken our fall. And now that I'm writing this one, I'm realizing more and more of what's happening, but that's for later. While looking to go in further below, we have a glimpse of Isa's encounter with Adler, saying he's here to help while slowly inching towards Isa. Please stop this man, along with an ominous, none of us are here by choice and no one will miss us. Upon further exploration, we discover more details about the replica units such as the ARA, who are the all-purpose repair workers. The Star units, which are guard combat units, Oily units, just general purpose, but mostly domestic, such as cooking, housework, office work, basically a wife. Mina units, the big woman that we encountered a while ago, are industrial specialists, such as mining and nuclear tech. Colibri units, who are the bioresonance specialists. Adler units take more of an administrator role, having direct control over all protector units. But on top of the hierarchy, we have Falke, a powerful bioresonant unit, the head of each Aeon facility, the commander of these protectors who resembled Yusen's revolutionary leader and her daughter. Side note, bioresonance is the key component to the majority of the story. To explain it in the simplest way, life forms are all interconnected, and when one has the capability of bioresonance, then they can pretty much alter reality by mindfuckery. We also peek in Adler's diary. He dreamt about his Gestalt life, and apparently he knew a white-haired woman. Sounds like Aryan to me. He also mentions a sudden appearance of an engineer replica with an orange chest plate. Seems familiar. The diary also states that their commander Falke has fallen ill too, and as cycles pass by, more and more replicas and gestalts are succumbing to whatever illness has been spreading. In the same room, we also find another diary locked in a puzzle, where I had to pull up paint because I didn't know the game had built-in screenshot mechanic. The diary was called Shrine Diary, along with Adler's ID, and all entries were dated the same, 8421D. Anyway, in this diary, it just tells a story of how each passing cycle feels like a deja vu. Paranoia seeps through his mind on each passing cycle, and he can't remember writing any of the entries from before. It was as if he was living a different reality over and over again, just stacking memories upon memories to a point where he couldn't tell which ones are his. In the end, he decides to head down to the mines because someone or something is calling him. Maybe the same thing is happening to us. After acquiring Adler's ID, we now have access to an elevator that leads directly to the mines. Maybe we'll finally find Alina or Aryan. Maybe we'll get some answers. Again, down we go. We get our sweet revenge indirectly by witnessing Isa handle Adler by stabbing him in the eye. What's peculiar here is Adler's line being, "I've done this countless times before. You don't belong here." What exactly did he mean by this? Does this relate to the diary entry from before? And why did he still get floored by an injured Gestalt if he seemed to already know what will happen? Then the word cycle appears. Cryptic. In this world, a day is called a cycle, but in general terms, a cycle can also just be a loop, a reiteration of events, something that is bound to happen. Finally, a change of scenery. We're now in the mines, and I low-key want to lick the shiny granite floor. The huge laser from the miner that we fought a while ago. They seem to be easily accessible in this area, having them all lined up. Too bad we have noodle arms and can't use them as weapons. Speaking of Mina, we were bound to find one here, but fortunately, this Mina was friendly. She introduces herself as Bio. Odd, I thought replicas didn't have individual names. We couldn't really help her and get ourselves a bouncer, so we just move on. Going further below, of what I thought was a peaceful section of the game, was a wrong thought. More enemies. Great. In here, we also find several replicas behind these limb-tearing wires. Most of them seemed expired. One oily unit was crying for a barely alive star unit. Navigating to get to them, the star unit consults the oile, telling her a secret, that she remembers her name from her old life. Maybe the memories of the Gestalt she was modeled after. I don't want to get involved with their shtick, and I have my own woman to save, so goodbye. Another huge hatch to go further down to. Why not? It's the same room Isa and Adler were a while ago. Even the bloodstains were still here, and the hole Adler fell in. Do I really need to say what comes after? Why are we in a cave and why is the sky red? Are we in a beach? As we walk along the shore, we pick up pieces of paper with cryptic broken messages. Moving forward, what seemed to be shells are now further on the surface. They were skulls. Then we notice a cave. Looks like someone didn't watch 127 hours. A timer appears, then reaches 0. Now we're back to reality. At this point, I'm not even sure what's real anymore. Several replica bodies lying on the ground and on metal slabs. What makes this part worse, aside from me already being directionally challenged, this place decides to not make sense when it comes to doors and moving through different areas. Scratch that. This is a lot worse. Another hole to drop down to, but this time is fleshier. At this point, why not, right? Below the hole, we find Isa in another predicament. This girl just can't catch a break, huh? An amalgamation of flesh inside the cage with the legs and arms of what seem to be the replicas. After acting as a distraction, Isa picks herself up and uses the rifle Adler had a while ago. The recoil knocked her back so hard, she lost consciousness. I need this gun, Isa. Give me the fucking gun. After carrying her to safety, we wake her up using a bottle of smelling salts we found. She thanks us and gives us the gun. Good. Exploring more of this place, we find a familiar room. It looked like the room key from a while ago, but this time we needed plates. Remember the plate that we got from the butterfly box a while ago? The red part was flesh, and that's why it was warm. This thing may be alive. While searching for the rest of the plates, we stumble upon another page of Alina's diary. In here, she states that her memories are starting to feel blurry, while her hair was slowly turning white. It's almost as if she was being replaced by a different person, a white-haired woman. Aryan. After finding the last plate, I felt both relief and uneasiness. It's gonna go down between two paths. Either the next section will be more messed up than this one, or the game will finally give us a break. But I am certain of one thing. A boss battle's behind this door. Moment of truth. Let's open it. This is the exit. We're back from the beginning, but it seems like the hole is narrower and a lot more intimate from the recent events. Climbing back up, which is something we haven't done in a while, Adler is waiting in front of the gate from a while ago, still stuck with the same knife Isa stabbed him with. He tells us that it was impossible to move on. Again, he implies that this has happened so many times before, but it doesn't matter. We have to fulfill our promise. Beyond the gate, emptiness. Black pillars towering this empty red void. Flashes of the same aisle that we've seen so many times. A bunch of Ulster units who have failed to keep their promise. And finally, we're back at our ship, the Penrose 512. What am I looking for? Alina? Aryan? An escape? Death? Finality? An end? Alina's name appears on the screen, and one of the silhouette responded to the call. But with Ulster's name appearing, a succession of response from different Ulster silhouettes. Aryan's name then appeared, and all of them responded at the same time, including Alina. Did they all become Aryan? Like what Alina's diary said a while ago? Her hair turning white? Again, the same aisle kept appearing. It's no mistake. This is the beach that we were walking through before. Flashes of so many memories are coming back. Are we finally starting to remember everything? Upon reaching the ship, we didn't have enough strength to open the hatch, but forcing it with our noodle arms only led to ripping them off. The CMD nerd flashes another wake-up command for us. But this time, the light in our eyes fade. Roll credits. Wait, what? No, you can't end it like that. What the fuck, game? After the credits, we're sent back to the title screen, only this time, a lot is different. Ulster's eyes was not moving with the cursor, and it seems like the game has deleted my save files. So we're stuck with the only option that we have. Begin a new game. The same sequence from the beginning of the game started playing, as if nothing ever changed. We're back at our ship, but it's not in ruins this time, and it seems operational. The lights are on and I actually feel at home. Looking for answers, we find an unopened envelope labeled as classified information about us. Ignoring the warning, we still open it and read what's inside. Inside are documents about how to handle Ulster units, telling the reader to interact with them as little as possible. Never talk about the war, show photographs of soldiers during the war, no movies, no music, and most importantly, no friendship. After doing our to-do list as the technician of this ship, we're finally reporting in to our Gestalt officer. We're finally meeting Aryan. There she is, greeting us with hugs and kisses. She really never did open the documents, huh? Not only did she befriend us, but it seemed like we actually became lovers. It's our 3000 cycle anniversary, and to celebrate that, Aryan puts on some music. Hand in hand, we danced to the tune deep into the night until we both fell asleep. Numbers were again dictated to me, still not knowing their meaning. The flash of the same aisle as before. We're back to where we thought we died, where Aryan's ghost is standing beside us. Injuries start appearing on her skin out of nowhere, asking us if we remember our promise. Of course we do. That wakes us up, and now we manage to get into the ship. We find bloody diary pages. The writer was clearly in pain. Aryan was in pain. Reaching the cryopod room, instead of Aryan, there's a lump of flesh pulsating, and beside it was an Ulster unit. Without a second thought, we scavenged said body, taking her arm and the chest plate for ourselves. We made a promise after all. None of this matters. Interacting with the body and the lump of flesh again, it seems like we've set aside our emotions for now, with one goal in mind. Our promise. We've been through the ringer this whole time. Another fleshy hole can't stop us now. Sent again to the shoreline, we pick up papers with ominous writings on it. This time around, we find the boat, and boarding it takes us to our next destination. been here before. We're back at Sierpinski, but it's a lot more corrupted and infected, almost as if the facility itself was being consumed by this disease. A writing on the board further confirms that we've actually been here before, reassuring that I'm not being gaslit or anything. Doing the same steps from before, we unlock the classroom and push further below. Adler, matching the team of the facility, finally succumbing to the loss of his commander, shows his true nature. From Leng, and now Rotfront, we're transported to a different planet this time. Inspecting the conveniently highlighted wall, we see another puzzle and a small hole, just enough to get a glimpse of what might be on the other side. It's the same room we crawled into in the beginning. Despite being in a completely different place, the same phenomena is happening here. Replica units are corrupted and hostile. Exploring the place and collecting tarot cards, we find out more about Aryan. Aryan was born in Leng, being raised by her mother, Iris, but Camilla, Aryan's aunt, suggested that she should receive a normal education in the city, which is in Rotfront. During Aryan's stay in Rotfront, she became friends with the Ito sisters, Isa and Erika. In a teacher's note, observations about Aryan was logged. What is normal in our world, like having hobbies, are nonsensical in theirs. If Aryan wasn't accepted into the Penrose program, she would likely have been sent to Sierpinski. Aside from being a mining facility, it also serves as a place to re-educate Gestalts. Re-educate meaning turn them completely subservient to the Yuuzhan nation, not having any free will at all. And while everything seemed to be going normal, news of an Imperial spy has been circling around. Said spy encountered a white-haired girl, Aryan, working at a photo store and suspected she was a bioresonant and has found them out. At this point, the game gives us more proof that bioresonance is an all-powerful technology in this world, but they have yet to fully understand its capabilities. After more snooping around, we meet Isa again, but for the final time. In the end, she couldn't find who she was looking for, her sister, realizing both of them were already dead. Succumbing to that realization, Isa tried to reach out for us, but dissolves into nothingness. After progressing and getting all the tarot cards, the place got corrupted more with the same fleshy lumps blocking paths aside from where we're supposed to go. This puzzle got me pulling out paint yet again because I still didn't know they had the built-in screenshot taker here. The hole got bigger, big enough to crawl into, so we do. The same book from before, The King in Yellow, is now unsealed. Telling us that it's time to go home, we pick up the book. Going outside this room, we're in what seems to be our home in Rotfront. Our aunt even left a note for us. I love it when games do this, hints disguised as lore or context. Leaving one inventory spot empty and saving for the last time, we proceeded to go out, greeted by a long hallway. We don't have any choice but to go forward. Along the way, we pick up notes on the ground. The Gestalts who were sick also come the same way, melting into this black ooze, only leaving dark shadows on where they died. Adler believed it was not a disease, it was corruption of reality itself, realizing that he has relived the same cycle over and over again, but it gets more twisted each time. We also pick up a note called Red Dream. It was Falke's writing. She was having the same memories as us. The search, the island, the promise. Falke's sense of self was blurring as she was starting to become Elster, us. With the last note, Falke has now fully embraced the memories that has replaced hers. I can't have that. I am Elster, and I will fulfill our promise. I can't seem to say fulfill. I'm sorry about that. Entering the room at the end of the hallway, Falke wakes up from her slumber and immediately begins a boss battle with her. First, she sends us into nowhere with this veiny, throbbing flesh surrounding us. Using her own spear against her, she sends us into a different world or reality each time. Are all of these the places that we've been through, or are we just experiencing someone else's memory? After several transportation, our duel ends in the void. I had 5 bullets in a dream. I need to make every shot count. And oh wait, she's down, never mind. Using the final spear, the game makes us relive Asuka's death from Evangelion. And now, here we are again at the gate, getting closer to the aisle and yet we never reach it. Adler tries to stop us again. His words were meaningless to us. So what if everything falls apart? We're doing this for one person. Nothing and no one else matters. Ultimately, he fails because he brought a knife to a gunfight. Now, back again at our ship, scattered diary entries were on the floor. It was Aryan's. We also find a briefing for our mission that was never told to us from the beginning. At the start of our 3000 cycle will be the final phase of our mission. By now, rations should soon be depleted. The life support and reactors of the ship will fail over time, and radiation will start leaking. And finally, the replica sign will now have reached the end of its operational lifetime. A slow and agonizing death for the Gestalt awaits if they further try to survive. It was advised for the replica to put their Gestalt partner into permanent rest into the cryopod and spare them from further suffering before they stop becoming operational. But as the diary entries have suggested, even before the 3000 cycle, Aryan was already having symptoms from the radiation. It seems in the end, we couldn't do our responsibility and put Aryan to rest. She has gone through more than 5,000 cycles suffering from the radiation poisoning in this ship. Our promise was to die together. It was never just my promise. It was always ours. At least that's how I interpreted it. In Aryan's room, we find her dead body from a different time. We couldn't keep our promise in the end. Upon reaching the door to the cryopod room, we brace ourselves to finally go back home. I'll let this play out just because it's a really beautiful ending in my opinion. Yes, I am very proud that I got the promise ending in my first try, and I've seen the other two endings which made me a little bit disappointed. I've yet to see the artifact ending because I want to do it myself, and I'll get to it after editing and uploading this video. The promise ending to me seemed to make the most sense, or rather seemed to end the cycle, because in the leave ending, you just become another one of the dead Ulster units, which was out in the open, while in the memory ending, it's probably the saddest because you've gone through literal hell and back, and she just forgets you just because you want to speedrun the game and make it back to her as soon as possible. So now, as for my interpretation for the events of the game, remember, this is how I see it. If you want a more objective look, go watch Wormgirl's video. It really explains a lot of the references outside of the game. So yeah, let's start with the prologue. why was Aryan not in the cryopod? It may just be because of Aryan's bioresonance bullshit. Remember the hole that we crawled into? It was revealed later in the game that it was in fact Aryan's room. In Rotfront, reality in this game is so fucked up that we're just relying literally on our own memory as a player. Then, after picking up the book in the room, The King in Yellow, which has great significance in this story, but I haven't read it, so I'm not gonna make assumptions about it. It teleports us to Sierpinski and the start of Chapter 1, which is called Synchronicity. Now let's talk about the events at Sierpinski. In my opinion, the events there were real. In the part where Adler pushes us through the elevator, we've seen several lifeless Elster units that broke our fall, so it means the events here were just looping, although the so-called disease is getting worse. But here's the thing. There was actually no disease, like what Adler said in his final note. It was Aryan affecting the facility because of her own bioresonance and her radiation poisoning. The same symptoms were appearing in the facility. The more cycles pass by, the worse the state of the facility is going to be. As for why exactly were we searching for Alina in here, in one of the notes for how to handle Elster, it says there that showing her photos of the war can trigger her memories of the gestalt she was modeled after to resurface. Aryan had a picture of Alina So and Lilith Ito, which was shown in Chapter 3 because she said she looked like Alina. Aryan may have shared or showed it to Elster, which then makes Elster's memory a bit fuzzy and is now trying to search for Alina instead of Aryan. But why exactly would it trigger Elster's memory? Because the photo, first off, was from the war, and what's worse, the woman who Alina is with in the picture is theorized to be the Gestalt template for Elster unit's neural pattern, Lilith. So the question is, was Alina actually in Sierpinski? I have no idea honestly, because we keep on finding diary pages from Alina and even her ID was there. Hell, she even has interactions with Julia Wong, another Gestalt in this facility. But it can also just be the work of Aryan's bioresonance again, because Alina was long gone during the war. Even if we were to say that we're living in another Elster unit's memory, we did not exist during Alina's time because Lilith, who was in the same war as Alina, was the OG Gestalt for Elsters. But why Sierpinski? Probably because Aryan would have been sent in this facility if she didn't get accepted into the Penrose program. Why Alina? Because she thought she looked like Alina when she found her photo in Rotfront. She also pondered if she could be like her. That's why probably in her weak state in the failing ship, a lot of thoughts and memories are coming back to her. Another thing that happens is a parallel search going on with Isa, a possible relative of Lilith Ito, being that the Ito sisters were originally from Vineta and both have the same last names. So we already know that Isa is already dead, but because of Aryan's bioresonance, she probably conjured her up in Sierpinski. That's why she seemed to be real, even stabbing Adler in the eye. In the entirety of the game, Isa's purpose was just to act as a parallel to us, honestly. We were both searching for someone, and in the end we find out that we're actually dead. But unlike Isa, Elster is a replica and can just share the same memory as all the other Elster units and take over them. Now, as for Adler and why he insists on stopping us and Isa up until the end, he is clearly aware of what is happening to their reality in Sierpinski. He realized that they were in a time loop all while Falke is in a coma. The sudden appearance of an Elster unit, even if they haven't requested for one, was odd for him. And like what the Shrine Diary says, every cycle feels like a deja vu, and he couldn't remember writing the previous passages. That's when he realized that it was us disrupting the flow of time. Each time we die, another loop begins, but he didn't know that, hence the pile of Elster bodies in the elevator. He thinks that killing us would end the loop. Elster and Isa were both anomalies of that facility. That's why he decided to get rid of us, but in the end he still fails. Okay, so why is this chapter called Synchronicity? Remember Aryan pretty much having a cancer at the end of the game? What's happening to her internally somehow coincides with the events in Sierpinski, her sickness affecting the whole facility and her memories of Isa manifesting in Sierpinski. Which leads us to the next chapter called Liminality, which is the space in between. The map of this chapter is literally named Nowhere, meaning there is no significance to this place. It's just a transition between two spaces. What exactly are we in between of? I have a theory that in the first chapter it was actually a memory of Alina, but it would be contrary to what I said before of her being not alive at this point. But I do believe that Alina was in Sierpinski and that what we were seeing in chapter 1 was the past. As to why Alina was searching for her Elster, I think it's just Aryan's memory mixing in with hers, because at Alina's diary 4, she was literally becoming Aryan, having blurred memories and her hair turning white. The beginning of this chapter was in the mines, which were of Alina's memories, and after traversing Nowhere, we were given this fake ending, then starting back again in Penrose. But this time, our memories with Aryan during our time in the ship comes back to us, waking us up from the fake ending. Going through the wrecked ship, it takes us to the next chapter, which was of Aryan's memories in Rotfront. A lot of things can actually be interpreted at this chapter. It can be Alina's assimilation into Aryan, hence all this fleshy meat-like abominations everywhere. It can be interpreted as the culmination of Aryan's power and her becoming this all-powerful eldritch bioresonant being. Everything is possible, honestly. And finally, in Rotfront, this is mostly just us piecing everything together, because the game literally gives us most of Aryan's backstory, her relation with the Ito sisters and how she knew about Alina. Gestaltserfall directly translates to shape decay, but what it essentially means is when something becomes more complex the more you observe it. Like when you look at a word for so long, the letters starts to separate and soon they become just lines. They are basically doing the same here by giving us more information. We tend to analyze the story, and the more we try to, the more confusing it gets. But if we piece it all together, it's just your simple lesbian tragic love story between a robot and a human. It's honestly amazing how this game is fucking with my mind up until this time of writing. So now, here comes all the horrors of remembering. First up, we have Isa. Imagine being suddenly summoned into a world and your only goal is to find your sister. Isa went through pretty much the same hell with us, only to find out that her sister and herself was already dead. The realization and shock to finding the memorial for both of them, I would find that pretty horrifying. And now consider the fact that every time Elster fails to end the cycle, Isa will be back again to experience that hell of remembering their deaths. Next, we have Adler. Adler is a lot simpler. His hell is being in this limbo, this single cycle where an Elster unit barges in your facility, then you either kill her or you get killed. But each time the cycle loops back, everything around you just becomes this twisted mess of a reality. And during all this, while your beloved commander is in a coma, him remembering all the events from the previous loops, only for it to happen repeatedly and each time getting worse. And that's why he was desperate to stop us, because the next cycle might break everything apart, including Falke. Falke, or Elster wannabe. What happened to Falke was directly because of Aryan. Remember the gate that would always appear in between chapters? Well, apparently Falke crossed it and somehow triggered Aryan's bioresonance and injected her with Elster's memories. As for how did it happen, an explanation of that power, I honestly have no idea. But we do know that she did cross the gate and never came back the same. Falke's cell was losing herself. Memories she's now remembering are not hers, and with each cycle repeating, Elster's memories cannibalizes hers more. Aryan is literally dying, prolonging her suffering while this cryopod desperately keeps her alive. Falling in and out of consciousness, she remembers every last bit of her life and realizing she's alone in that ship because her Elster partner couldn't keep their promise. Also, I think Aryan is aware of all the Elster's attempts to come to her. Witnessing each and every death of her lover is the hell Aryan has to forever remember. And finally, we have Elster. She is the combination of everyone's cell, and yet she always keeps on into each loop of the cycle. On many occasions, we see ourselves already dead, but because we're a replica, we can just reason it out as just another unit similar to us. Where Isa lost hope, we move forward. Each cycle was a deja vu for us. The more we progress, the more reality twists. Where Adler lost his mind, we move forward. Every time we cross the gate, our memories cannibalizes onto another Elster's memory. and we become them in the end. Where Falca lost herself, we move forward. All of this just for a gay lover we met in a ship during a mission that was already doomed from the beginning. Okay, so I know I didn't talk much about the Lovecraftian aspect of the game, but I do know that there is that aspect. I'm just too ignorant about the subject. I felt like identity crisis and sense of self resonated with me more. It's terrifying to forget something and be forgotten. But what's scarier is getting your memories slowly replaced and you become basically someone else. You don't just die, you literally get erased from existence. To me, Signalis is easily my top horror game, maybe even one of my top 5 games just in general. Cause you know when you read a book, watch an anime or a movie or a show, and then finishing it just leaves you with, okay, what now? I don't feel like I have any more purpose. Instead of just moving on with your life, the story just sticks with you and becomes a part of you. You will forever remember this game and will be haunted by all the unanswered questions it carries. So again, if you're still here, thank you so much for watching and sticking by. I'm sorry if I missed a lot of things because of my lack of knowledge about literature and just in general. This was Obara. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.